In today's video, I want to discuss the importance of community and environment and the role that those two factors play in a person's addiction and a person's ability to quit. If you followed my channel for a while, you know that I believe strongly in community, something that we've built here on YouTube through our Addiction Mindset channel and videos when it comes to quitting. So this dates back to the 1970s. There was a psychologist, Dr. Bruce Alexander, and he hosted a study to test a hypothesis as to how much community environment play a role in addiction. And the study was performed on rats, and it was famously coined the Rat Park Study. So you had two groups of rats. In group A, you had an isolated rat. This rat was put in a cage with no activities and no other rats, and it was provided two options. It had one option of drinking water that was just water. And then it had another option of drinking water that was laced with cocaine. And when the rat was placed in an isolated cage, deprived of activities and social communication and interaction, the rat would almost always abuse the cocaine-laced water, eventually until it would overdose and die. So that was group A, the isolated rat. Now, Group B took a community of rats and put them in what Dr. Bruce Alexander coined a rat park. This was a cage that contained like a little spinning wheel. It had activities, it had other foods available, and most importantly, it had other rats in the cage all doing things, all doing these activities together. Now, this cage contained the same waters. It had plain water, and then it had water laced with cocaine. And what Dr. Alexander found was in the rat park, the rat cage with all the activities and the other rats, the rats would more often than not choose to drink plain water. And when they would consume the cocaine-laced water, they would do it more in moderation, and they did not reach the point of overdose. So the conclusion of this study was that environment and social interaction plays a heavy role when it comes to addiction recovery and being able to quit a substance, or at least perhaps even being able to moderate substance use, as compared to the rat that was alone, isolated, with no activities, no hobbies, nothing to enjoy. That rat would always overdose and die on the cocaine-laced water. And I think this is very true. When you look at addiction recovery, the people that you surround yourself with, the environment that you're in, plays a huge role, especially for those of you guys watching my channel who live in a house where substance use is a regular activity, who are surrounded by friend groups where substance use is celebrated. It makes quitting very, very challenging when you don't have a support group or community of people that have similar interests to you, i.e. sobriety, recovery, self-development, self-discipline, practices like that. And you see this time and time again. This is why you see programs like 12-Step, Alcoholics Anonymous, Marijuana Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Smart Recovery. Even when you go to a rehab center or a sober living and you're indoctrinated with a group of other people who have a similar interest in mind, sobriety and addiction recovery, this is why you see some of the success of those groups. A lot of that success has to do with the community environment and the community interaction. So here on our channel, Addiction Mindset, we've created a community, and you can see that community in the comments. You can see people supporting one another. It's a really cool thing that I've watched grow over the last 5 years. But I've also recently launched our Addiction Mindset School community, which is a private paid monthly program community of people all dedicated to quitting nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. And the purpose of that community is to help people turn their addiction into ambition. I've said this in other videos. Once you quit a substance, you're left with time, you're left with energy, you're left with extra money. And it's what you do with that time, that energy, that improved physical and mental health that matters. That's really what gives value to a person's sobriety and recovery. So I developed this private community where we go live 2 times a month in a group coaching setting. We have forums and open dialogue among community members. We have a bunch of videos organized into a manner in which you can learn about withdrawals. You can learn about nicotine addiction, weed addiction. We took all our videos and organized them in a really good fashion so it has like a nice flow and it makes sense. And then we combine that with this kind of community interaction and weekly challenges for people to do to help support that sobriety and recovery process, but not only to get sober and recover, but to hopefully thrive throughout your sobriety and recovery. Community is also great because not only does it introduce you to other people with similar interests, but it provides you with ongoing accountability and it gives you direct access to other people's experiences. If you're having a hard time, it's nice talking to someone else who had a hard time, who eventually came out on the other side. It also helps to see people who aren't succeeding, to see people who do relapse, and to see the outcomes of those decisions. Sometimes it's like, oh, whoa, John relapsed and I was thinking about relapsing, but based on John's experience with relapse, I think it's best I stay sober. I know that's kind of dark, but it's the truth. It's one of the benefits of community. You get to see both people's good and bad experiences, which can help to reinforce the decisions that you're going to make going forward in your recovery process. So you can check that out. I put a pinned comment with a link to the Addiction Mindset School community. Again, you can cancel anytime. It's a month-to-month membership, and you can find that in the pinned comment or the video description. I'm actually going to be going live today from the day I produce this video inside that community. It's on a private Zoom call. So if you're watching this on the day this video dropped, I hope to see you tonight. We also have recordings of the lives for those of you that can't regularly make the live sessions 2 times a month. Get yourself in a community, though, whether it's mine or a different community that you find value in. I think that goes a long way. You know, I'll say this too. When it comes to business and entrepreneurship, one of the things that was most beneficial for me was being part of business and entrepreneurial communities. Business and running programs comes with its challenges. And if I didn't have community support, if I didn't have team support, we wouldn't have the channel that we have today. So I really, really believe in that more than anything else. More than our supplements, more than our products, more than our one-on-one coaching. I think community is really at the root of addiction recovery. You know, I say in my emails, community is the death of addiction. I really believe that. Even for people who find self-recovery where they just quit on their own, like I did, they often eventually wind up in different communities to support them along the way. I wasn't part of a 12-step or an NA or an MA program, but I was part of many business communities after I got sober, and undoubtedly those things helped me along the way, staying sober, even though they had nothing to do with sobriety. So again, check that out in the pinned comment or the video description. Until next time.